Hello, everyone. Welcome to Privacy Effort. My name is Frank, and I've spent over 30 decades as a systems architect and cybersecurity consultant. In those years, I've studied threats most people don't even know exist. And today, I need to warn you about one that touches every single one of us. Have you ever stopped to think about the invisible noise your electronics are making, like right now? Because without you knowing, maybe without your permission, your phone, those wireless headphones, maybe even your smart washing machine, they're all constantly putting out this powerful, trackable radio signal. It's like leaving an invisible digital trail everywhere. And look, this isn't just theory. My studying results make it clear. This is an immediate, pretty profound privacy threat. It's built right into the devices we use every single day. How immediate? Well, someone doesn't need to be right next to you. They could literally drive by your house and see if someone's home, maybe even which part of the house they're in. Oh, and they could follow you totally silently from, say, 100 to even 200 meters away. Do you see how dangerous this is? For a criminal, this is a burglar's dream. Wow. Knowing this, it changes the whole game, right? You can go from being, the victim, to someone who understands, who can track back. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're going deep into this secret infrastructure. How does it actually enable this global surveillance? And then I'm giving you the tools that are actually out there, available, that let you turn the tables, use their own tracking signals against them, and, reclaim some control. Exactly, taking back that visibility. Stay with me until the end. What you learn here might just protect you or someone you love.
Imagine stepping outside your home. You're being followed, but not by a car tailing you. No, it's subtler than that. Someone could be picking up signals from 100, maybe 200 meters away. You wouldn't see them. You wouldn't hear them. They could be just around the corner, and you'd never know. Now picture a secure building, a corporate office, a government facility, someone outside, quietly tracking signals. They could follow your movements inside, floor by floor, room by room, even into restricted areas. They'd know where you paused, where you lingered. And then there's the long game. What if someone slipped a tiny AirTag into your bag, or tucked one inside your car? These things are small, really small. They run on a coin-sized battery, and here's the kicker. They can track you for up to a year. One battery, 12 months, passive, low power, constant surveillance. So what makes all this possible? How can one tiny tag track you so effectively? It comes down to the sheer number of devices out there. Millions, everywhere. And they're all part of massive mesh networks, like Apple's, Amazon's Sidewalk, Google's mesh system. You've probably heard of them. Let's delve into how these mesh networks actually function. These networks rely on devices constantly announcing themselves, peer-to-peer, each one sending out short signals to everything nearby. Those signals get picked up, passed along, relayed up the chain. It's like a digital whisper network, quiet, constant, and incredibly powerful. Okay, so here's the big question. What does all this mean for you? Technology built for convenience, for everyday life. Finding your keys, connecting your earbuds without a second thought. But what if that same technology has quietly become the backbone of a global surveillance system? Not by design, maybe not even intentionally, but it's happening, and that is a critical question. Why we miss this threat beyond hacking? Now let's talk psychology. Why do we miss this? Most people, when they think wireless security, they worry about hacking, right? Yeah, direct hacking. Someone getting into your phone data via Bluetooth, maybe like those random airdrop requests you sometimes get, which you have to explicitly accept. And that's a valid concern, sure. But it's kind of looking in the wrong place for this particular threat. How so? The real issue here, it's more fundamental. It's not about someone actively hacking your phone in that sense. The problem is that your device is just blindly broadcasting. Broadcasting what? A Bluetooth Low Energy Signal, BLE. Constantly, all day, All night, every few seconds, with zero input from you, no permission needed. It just does it. Bluetooth Low Energy, BLE, more powerful than you think. And here's the bit that gets me. The name, low energy. It sounds weak, right? Totally counterintuitive. We hear low energy, we think, okay, short range, 5 feet, maybe, right. But our source material shows it's actually the opposite. BLE uses these really short bursts of signal, just milliseconds long. Okay, because it's so short, it's super battery efficient. That's why an AirTag lasts a year. But that quick high burst, it allows the signal to travel a surprisingly long way. How far are we talking? We're talking documented range up to 200 meters. Outdoors. 200 meters from low energy. Exactly. It's designed as a fire-and-forget broadcast. And that signal is way more powerful and far-reaching than the name suggests. So if it's not hacking in the usual sense, what's the specific mechanism? What exactly is sending out this invisible footprint? Oh, it's pretty much everything modern. The list is long. iPhones, Apple TV, Apple earphones, trackers like AirTags, Tile. Yep, your generic wireless headphones, probably. Yeah, your connected car, your smart home stuff, washers, dryers, refrigerator, Amazon Echo, Ring cameras. Exactly. If it connects wirelessly and it's been made in, say, the last decade, it's likely doing this. Okay, let's nail down the mechanics of that signal. It's really important. What's the actual difference between the old Bluetooth we used to think about and this BLE? Right. So you had Bluetooth Classic that was, well, tame, short range, maybe 15 feet, 5 meters. Right, like for speakers. Exactly. Needed explicit pairing, continuous connection. Drained your battery. And BLE is a different beast altogether. It's powerful, it's long range, and it's that fire-and-forget system we talked about. Meaning it just sends out these short digital messages. Announcing a unique ID. Yeah, every 10 to 15 seconds or so. Apple devices, the sources say, typically broadcast every 12 seconds. It's just relentless. Yeah, a constant beacon. And the mesh network's job is to pick up these beacons. Precisely. When your iPhone sends its little message, every other listening device nearby, every Apple TV, every other iPhone, every AirTag, maybe a Ring camera, it captures that message, decrypts part of it, and relays it. Relays it where? To the next device. Or the next device. Yeah. Or eventually over the internet back to Apple's or Amazon's or Google's central servers. That's the mesh. The data leak, location and heading. Okay, now the data itself, what's actually in that signal? I mentioned a data leak. Yeah, this is fascinating, kind of scary. Parts of the signal, like an AirTag's temporary ID, are encrypted, but other parts, not encrypted. Like what? The unencrypted bits include location data, an MAC address, which we'll come back to, and critically, a heading. Wait, hang on. A heading? You mean like a compass direction? Exactly like a compass direction. It's not just, I'm here at these coordinates. It's, I'm here, and I'm moving roughly west at this angle. Wow, that makes it much more powerful than just location, right? More accurate than, say, Wi-Fi triangulation. That needs multiple signals, just to guess your location, within maybe 6 feet. But with BLE, because you have that heading, sometimes down to like ruler-like precision, a single nearby phone listening can get an incredibly accurate fix on your location and direction, which is why it's so good for things like contact tracing. Bingo! It makes automated contact tracing extremely effective. Okay, but what about MAC addresses? I thought Apple and others fixed this. They randomize the MAC address every 15 minutes, right? Doesn't that stop the tracking? Unfortunately, that randomization, it's more like a speed bump than a real barrier. How come? Well, the MAC is temporary, yes. But the main identifier isn't really the address itself. It's the precise location and the device type. So even if the address changes, you can still tell it's an iPhone 14. Exactly. The temporary MAC address still reveals the model. I can see, okay, that's an iPhone 14, or that's an Apple TV, or that's an AirTag. So even if the ID number changes every 15 minutes, the location is the same and the device type is the same. So you just link the new ID to the old spot. Got it. It's trivially easy to link them when the next beacon fires off 15 minutes later from roughly the same spot, possibly with the same heading. Shifting from tracked to tracker, your new power. Okay, this realization though, this is where you start to gain some power back, right? Absolutely. We can use these exact same radio signals, the ones tracking us. We can use them to see who or what is around us, to see if something is constantly following. You shift from being the tracked to being the tracker, or at least the aware observer. The tools, your Android advantage. Okay, let's get into the tools. But first, there's a catch, right? Yeah. There's a significant constraint I have to mention up front. If you're primarily an iPhone user, well, for now, you're kind of stuck being the target. Why is that? iOS restricts the kind of deep access you need to the phone's BLE radio stack to do this kind of listening. So for counter-surveillance, you really need an Android phone. Any Android? Any standard Android can run the tools. Now, the ideal setup, according to the materials I collected during studying, is a de-Googled Android. That means it's not broadcasting its own Google-related BLE signals, making you more invisible while you listen. But even a regular Android gives you the access you need. Access that the iPhone hides? Exactly. Android lets you see what the iPhone is trying to obscure. Okay, let's get practical then. You've got your Android. How do you flip the script? What are the rules? Right. Let's break it down into 3 main steps or rules. First, Rule 1. Get the right tool and set it up. You need an app that just listens to all the BLE signals around without any pre-filtering. The source recommends one called BLE Radar. Yep, BLE Radar. You can find it on F-Droid, which is an alternative app store, or sometimes on the Google Play Store. Okay, got the app. What next? First thing, dive into the settings. Crucially, you need to enable GPS position. This is what allows the app to calculate distance accurately, especially when you're outdoors. Makes sense. Anything else in settings? Yeah. Also, turn on deep analysis. This tells the app to try harder to figure out the specific model of the device it's hearing. Is it just your neighbor's smart fridge, or is it actually an AirTag? That analysis helps tell them apart. Okay. Tool acquired. Settings tweaked. What's Rule 2? Clean up the clutter. Filter out the noise. When you first open that app, you'll be swamped. Your own headphones, your TV, your smart kettle, right. Tons of signals. Yeah. The first key is to focus only on devices where the app actually shows a specified distance. That means it's actively locked onto that signal and knows how far away it is. Ignore the ones without a distance for now. Okay. Focus on signals with distance. Then what? Then you filter out the known safe stuff. You'll see devices marked STP. That means static address. They have a fixed MAC address. These are usually your own home devices, things that don't move, like my Apple TV or the smart plug. Exactly. Tag those as home or safe within the app. Then use the app's filter function to only display devices tagged as not home. Ah, so you're filtering out all your own static junk. Precisely. You might go from seeing hundreds of devices down to just a handful of active, potentially moving signals nearby. That's your real area of interest. Okay, much cleaner view. Now, Rule 3. Identify the target. How do you spot something suspicious? Now you look for the tricky ones. Pay close attention to devices marked with RPA. Red letters, RPA, RPA. What's that stand for? Evolvable Private Address. That's your big clue. It means the MAC address is being randomized, likely every 15 minutes. So RPA means it's probably an iPhone or an AirTag, something trying to hide? Very likely yes. Those are your potential targets. So tag any suspicious red RPA device you see as target or something similar in the app, and then just watch it. Then it's about observation. Watch the patterns, especially within that 15-minute window before the address changes. Is that red RPA device always lurking just around the corner? Is it consistently following you, maintaining the same distance? What happens after 15 minutes when the address changes? If the signal for that specific RPA device disappears, and then almost immediately a new RPA device pops up nearby, maybe at a similar distance or trajectory, it's almost certainly the same device, just with its new randomized address. You keep tagging the new one as the target. Okay, that makes sense. You're tracking the behavior and location, not just the temporary ID. Exactly. You're watching the pattern. Let's explore the broader implications of wireless networks on community and predictive behavior. We're going to widen the lens a bit and connect this back to the bigger picture, focusing on the community angle. Consider the vast number of devices out there and how their prevalence is key to understanding network effectiveness. The sheer number of devices in use creates a dense and powerful network effect. For instance, something like 57% of US households have iPhones. This high density is crucial. This density makes these mesh networks incredibly effective and robust. It's not sparse coverage, it's practically everywhere in populated areas. This widespread capability has significant social implications that we need to consider. Because Bluetooth Low Energy, or BLE, tracking is so accurate, and especially because it includes heading data, the direction of travel. This capability provides an unprecedented ability for identification and surveillance on a mass scale. This data could easily be used in times of crisis. Imagine another public health crisis, like a pandemic. This data becomes incredibly valuable. This type of data could easily be used by tech companies or government bodies. The obvious use case is super accurate contact tracing, helping to understand who was near whom. But it goes beyond just knowing who was near whom. The potential for using that heading data is significant. It's not just about historical location, it's about what that data can predict. The potential for using that heading data allows for predictive behavior modeling. This means they don't just know where you were, but they can make pretty good guesses about where you were going, precisely where you're likely headed next, the trajectory. The key takeaway here is a crucial one for everyone. You need to start consciously managing your own radio emissions profile. Because, make no mistake, someone is definitely listening. Welcome to Taking Action, Your Next Steps. Today we'll discuss how to regain control in an increasingly monitored world. You don't have to be an unwitting target anymore. With the right knowledge and tools, you can shift your perspective. This knowledge arms you with the same data the surveillance infrastructure uses, allowing you to understand and adapt. You can become an aware tracker, or at least an aware observer, in this digital landscape. Let's dive into concrete steps, starting with Android phone users. If you have an Android phone, even an old one, download BLE Radar or a similar app. Just try it out. Walk around your house, walk down the street, see what's out there. It gives you a real, tangible sense of the invisible radio noise around you. The materials I collected mentioned it can scan effectively up to 50 meters indoors in tests. This experience fundamentally changes how you perceive your environment and your devices. Now, for iPhone users, a different approach is needed. If you rely on iPhones, you need to be more conscious of your device habits, especially when moving outside your home. Think about those wireless headphones and other always-on accessories. Consider storing them in a Faraday bag when not using them, or at least ensure they're fully turned off, not just in standby. By taking these steps, you minimize your active radio footprint as much as you can. Reduce the number of signals you're broadcasting. Be mindful of your own emissions and take control of your digital presence.
Okay, and as we wrap up, here's a final thought I want to leave you with, something to maybe mull over. Knowing the accuracy of BLE, knowing it includes that trajectory, that heading information, how might commercial entities or maybe governments start combining all that data, not just to see where you've been, but to predict with increasing accuracy your future behavior patterns, where you'll be next week based on where you're headed today? Think about that. What does that capability enable? I'll leave you with that question. Until next time.
That wraps up today's discussion. Thanks for watching and tuning in. If you're curious to dive deeper into this topic, make sure to visit our website. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you never miss an update. See you next time.